Hey guys, Carrie here, founder of Born to Thrive. And if you're a woman over the age of 35, you might have started to notice that you've been gaining weight in places where you didn't used to have it. And you might have also started to realize that losing weight at this stage of our lives isn't exactly the same as it was when we were in our 20s and early 30s, right? So our hormones are starting to do weird things. Our metabolism is doing weird things. Our blood sugar is fluctuating. And it might even seem like our bodies are just totally betraying us. I know that's how it felt for me when I gained over 30 pounds, and just no matter what I did, I could not seem to lose that weight. So yeah, it definitely felt like my body was betraying me, but that's actually not what's going on. Our bodies aren't betraying us. We just have a lot going on. It's a time of change within the body. And so this is actually the most important time to be getting the right kind of nutrition. Now, I know we all know that nutrition is important throughout all of our life stages, but for us women, this is literally the most important time. Maybe besides when we were growing another human being inside of our bodies, right? For those of us who have children. So besides that, this is the most important time for us to be getting exactly the right kinds of nutrition that our bodies need. And so when this started happening to me, I started doing a ton of research, just trying to figure out, first of all, what does my body need right now? And second of all, how can I give my body what it needs and also lose the weight? And that's the really beautiful thing about this, is that when you are giving the body exactly what it needs, you're going to see that weight just start to drop off because, your hormones are going to start to balance, your metabolism is going to start to balance, blood sugar is going to start to balance. And those are the three things that we really need to pay attention to and just be mindful of, at this time. And so when this happened to me, like I said, I started doing all the research I could. I read a ton of books, articles. I looked at the science and how it's changed over time. I looked at a lot of things. I listened to experts, hormone experts talking about, all of the different hormone changes that are happening, metabolism, all of that. And it turns out that there are actually a ton of things that we can be doing to stop our bodies from betraying us, or to at least help us to stop feeling like that's what our bodies are doing as we age. Now, some of these include finding healthy ways to deal with stress, which naturally helps us to release cortisol, getting more sleep, gaining more lean muscle, keeping a healthy, flexible, and forgiving mindset, staying hydrated, and perhaps most importantly for our purposes today, knowing what food groups to choose from and how much to consume of each daily in order to balance our hormones, balance our blood sugar, and give the body exactly what it needs to function at its best for optimal health and weight loss. But first, let's talk about sweet potatoes. The other day, I was having a conversation with a family member, and she told me that she was no longer allowed to eat sweet potatoes, which is one of her favorite foods. Now, I was completely dumbfounded by this statement because I know sweet potatoes are wonderful and healthy, and they're even regarded as being a food that's safe for diabetics. So she went on to tell me, my doctor told me there's a reason why they're called sweet potatoes, because they're full of sugar. I sat there kind of in shock, not knowing that whatever I said she wasn't going to believe. After all, her doctor, the expert, had spoken. But here's why that statement's not completely true, and it has to do with the glycemic index and the glycemic load, which you've probably heard of. Basically, the GI is a numerical scale that indicates how high a certain food raises blood glucose levels. So if a food has a lower GI, it means a lower rise in blood sugar. If it has a higher GI, that means a quicker rise in blood sugar. But in addition to the GI, we also want to pay attention to the GL, which takes the GI into account, but also gives a fuller picture of what's going on. For example, the GI value of a sweet potato tells us how quickly the carbs in that sweet potato are going to turn into sugar in the body, but it doesn't tell us how much of that carb is in a serving of the sweet potato. So to sum it up, a boiled sweet potato has a GI of 54 and a GL of 8.6, which means it has a low serving of the carbs that are going to turn into sugar in the body. And when you factor in that sweet potato is loaded with vitamin C, beta carotene, fiber, and proteins that work with the body to increase antioxidants, and the fact that sweet potatoes are considered an anti-diabetic food because they help regulate blood sugar levels, it seems kind of ridiculous to me that any doctor anywhere would be telling their patients not to ever eat sweet potatoes. In some cases, maybe limit intake, but never eat again? I don't think so. Unless, of course, you have a potato allergy, in which case, probably avoid potatoes. but hopefully that's not the case for you. So the moral of the sweet potato story is that keeping our blood sugar stable does become increasingly more important as we age, since it helps to balance out our hormones. So having a general idea of the GI and GL of your favorite foods is probably a pretty good idea. And to make that nice and easy for you, I've created a handy little cheat sheet just for you so you can see the GI and GL of many of your favorite foods. Now, don't worry, you don't have to memorize anything and there won't be a pop quiz. Although I am a teacher, so maybe there will be a pop quiz. Just kidding. No, it's really just a reference for you so you can get a general idea of how the foods you eat are affecting your blood sugar. Now, the sweet potato story is just one example of the amount of conflicting information we're faced with every day, and it's just getting worse. Since the advent of the internet, misinformation is everywhere. I want you to think about somebody who maybe starts a blog or website. Now, we can hope that that person has good intentions and wants to provide us with valuable information, right? And that the information on their site has been sourced and verified correctly, rather than just pulled from some other random internet site. But think about this. If they're just creating the blog so they can put ads on their page to make a profit, we really have to wonder if the information they're providing us with is correct. Unless we do the research ourselves, we never really know. Lucky for you, being the nerd that I am, research is one of my favorite things to do. Anyway, so add to that all the people who are trying to profit from the newest, hottest fad diets, right? We're constantly bombarded with ads for keto and hormone diets, macros counting, carb counting. It's enough to make our head spin. Once again, we have to question the motives of the people providing us with this information. Do they really have our health and well-being at the forefront of their minds? Or are they just trying to make a quick profit? And not only that, but if you're around my age, you know that for decades we were told by the USDA to follow their food guide pyramid, where we were instructed to consume 6 to 11 servings of bread, cereal, rice, and pasta per day. What? And it didn't even matter if they were whole grains. That's totally crazy. Not to mention that heart-healthy fats were lumped in with oils and sweets, and we were simply told use sparingly. No wonder it's been so difficult for generations of women to lose weight. The USDA Food Guide Pyramid was replaced by MyPlate in 2011, which isn't as bad, but still definitely has issues. So with all this in mind, how do we wade through these muddy waters of the weight loss industry, health industry, USDA, and figure out the most effective way to reach our ideal weight and stay there for life? In my mind, the first thing we need to do is make things less complicated, because when we overcomplicate things, we end up stressing ourselves out even more, which not only increases weight gain, but as we all know, it can lead to high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, all the things we're trying to avoid, right? So all those fad diets I mentioned above have one thing in common. They're trying to convince us that weight loss has to involve going to extremes, whether it's cutting out carbs, obsessing over calories and macros, eating at only certain times during the day, or never eating a sweet potato again. I'm sorry, but having tried many of those extremes, I know that they just don't work for me. And I'm willing to bet that they don't work for you either. And one reason that they don't work is because we're human. We're generally super excited to try something new. However, once it becomes too demanding, time-consuming, or tedious for us, we usually don't hesitate to stop doing it. Think about counting calories, for example. Also, if we completely deprive ourselves of something, we're going to start obsessing over that thing until it completely consumes us. Then, after finally having given in to that craving, after who knows what else we ate before that, right? We start to feel guilt and shame, sometimes even to the point where we give up completely on our weight loss and health goals. And that's not why we're here, right? We're not here to give up. We're here because we want to lose weight, we want to have more energy to do the things we love, and we want to be healthier so we can live our best lives, right? Which is why I'm so excited to finally share with you a time-tested way of eating that doesn't focus on extremes or restrictions, and is actually a combination of two traditional diets from around the globe, the Mediterranean diet and the Asian diet. Now, the authors of the over 1,000-page book called The Encyclopedia of Healing Foods, after years of research conducted around the globe, have determined that these two diets are by far the healthiest ways of eating for humans. And this isn't just an opinion. Their conclusion is backed by evidence. The fact that the people who eat this way are literally the leanest, most disease-free people on the planet. And after years of my own research on and experience with diets like Atkins, Keto, South Beach, I'm convinced that this way of eating is far superior to any other, and it's exactly what we need to stay lean, fit, and healthy as we age. Now, this way of eating is not new or complicated. Generations of people around the planet have been empowered to live long, healthy lives because they know exactly what and how much to eat each day to provide their body with the optimal nutrients that it needs. There's no counting macros, carbs, no counting calories at all. It's about learning what the food groups are, how many servings of each to have every day, and how much a serving size is. Simple. Research is showing increasing evidence that women who follow this way of eating experience less symptoms of menopause, as well as retain higher bone density and lean muscle mass as they age. Now, that's something to get excited about. And another thing about it is it's a flexible way of eating that only requires a basic understanding of what the body needs in order to be at optimal health. So rather than focusing on restriction, it focuses on eating a variety of different foods. And it can always be modified depending on your own body's unique structure and needs. When it comes to food guides, pyramids just seem to make sense. So we're going to go through the different levels of the pyramid. But don't worry, you don't have to memorize anything. This is meant to be a guide only. And I've created a visual both of the pyramid itself and a cheat sheet that I created that you can use to make this way of eating as simple as possible. So let's jump right into this pyramid. So at the bottom, which we'll call level 1, rather than 6 to 11 servings of bread, cereal, rice, and pasta, we have over 5 to 7 servings of vegetables split between green leafy and cruciferous, low glycemic, and starchy, and 4 servings of good oils and fats, split between nuts or seeds and healthy oils. Let's start with the veggies. They finally made it to the bottom of the pyramid. Yay! Vegetables, in my opinion, are a gift from God. They exist in nature in their perfect form and provide us with tons of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, carbs, and proteins that are essential for optimal health. They're also designed to work together, so it's important to include a variety from each of the 3 categories. So let's take a look at each category. So first we have our green leafy and cruciferous, and as you can see, we should be eating 2 to 4 servings daily from this category. And a serving size is 1 cup raw, or about a handful, half a cup cooked, or a half a cup vegetable juice. Next, we have our low glycemic, and we should be getting 2 to 3 servings from this category. Serving sizes are pretty much the same, 1 cup raw, half a cup cooked, or a half a cup vegetable juice. And then finally, we have our starchy, and we should be getting about 1 to 2 servings daily in this category. And serving sizes are the same, 1 cup raw, half a cup cooked, or a half a cup vegetable juice. So as you can see, we should be eating more vegetables than anything else. Now, if that seems kind of impossible to you, don't worry. I created a cheat sheet for you with tons of ideas on how to increase your veggie intake. And also, just a quick side note, remember that the serving sizes are just guidelines and you don't have to measure out your veggies every time you eat. The important thing is just to have a general idea of how much is in a serving and eat a variety of veggies from all 3 categories and you'll be good. All right, to complete the bottom of the pyramid, we've got our good fats and oils. Now, when I was a kid, we were told by the scientific community that heart disease was linked with diets high in fat. So food companies immediately jumped on that bandwagon, and as a result, substitute products and products marked low fat became all the rage. In my house growing up, I remember that we always had margarine, which I found out later is actually gray, not yellow in color. We replaced real eggs with egg beaters and bought only snacks that said low fat on the label. Thankfully, it's now known that there are tons of oils and fats that are essential for optimal health and weight loss. Replacing nature's perfect foods with fake chemical substitutes wasn't only ridiculous, but also detrimental to our health. So we should be getting 1 serving of nuts and seeds, which is 1/4 a cup or about a handful, as well as 3 servings of healthy fats and oils, and 1 serving there is 1 tablespoon. There's tons of nuts and seeds to choose from, like almonds, pecans, pumpkin seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds. I can go on. There's tons of seeds. Some healthy oils to choose from would be coconut, olive, flaxseed, avocado, macadamia, MCT, which is medium chain triglyceride, cod liver, hemp seed oil. Now, the authors of the Encyclopedia of Healing Foods recommend that you limit or replace butter. However, I tend to agree with Dee McCaffrey, who is the author of a book called The Science of Skinny, who says that organic butter has a variety of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants like selenium, iodine, and vitamins A and E. So I keep it on my list of healthy fats. Another option is ghee, which is clarified butter, which is just butter that's had all the water evaporated at low heat. And just like regular butter, ghee is full of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, making it a healthy fat. It's also good for people who have a lactose allergy. All right, let's move up to the next level of our pyramid, where we've got our whole grains and legumes. Let's start with our 3 to 5 servings of whole grains. I get so frustrated when I hear people say that they can no longer eat bread, rice, or pasta because they're cutting out carbs. While I get what they mean when they say that, I still always wonder if they realize that it's not carbs that make us fat. In fact, carbs are the building blocks of energy and are essential for our health. So if carbs themselves aren't the enemy, then what makes us gain weight? Well, it's exactly what you would think: the quantity and the quality of the carbs you're consuming. Which brings us back to that USDA food pyramid, which told us to consume 6 to 11 servings of bread, cereal, rice, and pasta every day. And while they did recommend that you try to get as many of those servings as possible from whole wheat or whole grains, the category itself never differentiated between whole grains and their refined, highly processed counterparts. So can you imagine if in one day, and in addition to everything else you were eating, you had one bagel, which would be 2 servings, a hamburger bun, 2 more servings, 1 cup of cooked white rice, 2 servings, and a plateful of spaghetti with garlic bread, which would be at least 2 servings for dinner. Now, hopefully, most people wouldn't consume all of those items in one day. The scary thing is that according to the USDA, you technically could have and would have still been within the guidelines of up to 11 servings per day. And not only would you have been consuming empty calories with no nutritional value and barely any fiber, but you would be consuming way too many of them. Of course you would gain weight. And get this, you could even throw in a few cakes, cookies, croissants, and pastries, since as stated in the Old Food Guide Pyramid PDF on the USDA's website, those foods count as part of this food group. Yikes. So this brings us back to talking about whole grains. There's 2 major differences between refined grains, like the ones I just listed, and whole grains. The first difference is that refined grains have no nutritional value whatsoever, while whole grains are filled with hundreds of phytochemicals and nutrients that help our bodies fight off disease. The second difference, and the most important in weight loss, is that whole grains contain a secret weapon, and one that's also in many fruits and vegetables, that helps us to consume less calories and lose more weight. And that's fiber. Now, processed grains contain minimal amounts of fiber, if any at all. There's this book I read once called The F Factor Diet by a gal named Tanya Zuckerbrot. Now, she goes into detail about exactly how important fiber is in weight loss. And to sum it up, fiber absorbs other carbs, fats, and sugars in your body and helps to eliminate them, kind of like a sponge. It also makes you feel full for longer periods of time, thereby helping you to consume fewer calories throughout the day without feeling hungry or deprived. Fewer calories equals weight loss. Simple. So the key is to choose whole grains, organic whenever possible, that are high in fiber, and to eat 3 to 5 proper servings of them per day. For the most part, 1 serving cooked would be half a cup, and a serving raw would be 1/4 of a cup. A serving of popcorn is 2 cups, and a serving of whole grain bread would be 1 slice. You could easily get your 3 to 5 servings of whole grains by having a half a cup whole grain cereal or a 1/4 a cup dry oatmeal for breakfast, a sandwich on 2 slices of whole grain bread for lunch, and a half a cup cooked brown rice, quinoa, or whole grain pasta for dinner. And by doing that, you can rest assured that your body's getting exactly what it needs to be healthy, lose weight, and thrive. And the best part is you don't have to count 1 carb, calorie, or gram of fiber. So here's a list of some whole grains to choose from. So we've got amaranth, barley, all these different kinds of rice, kasha, millet, oatmeal, quinoa, rye, whole grain breads, whole grain pasta, whole grain tortillas, sprouted bread. And then if you have a gluten allergy, then you probably know to stay away from wheat, barley, malt, rye, or anything that has brewer's yeast in it. Okay, let's move on to our 2 to 3 servings of legumes. Now, legumes are an amazing source of protein, fiber, and cancer-fighting flavonoids. So we've got lots of different beans on this list to choose from. And then a serving size of legumes is a half a cup. All right, so let's move on to fruits, which are definitely called nature's candy for a reason, but their benefits go far beyond just being sweet and delicious. Now, just like veggies, fruits contain many vital nutrients as well as protect the body from a lot of diseases like cancer, stroke, heart disease, and diabetes. And just like veggies, it's important to include a variety of fruits in your diet. One serving of fruit is one medium fruit, a half a cup berries or fruit cut into pieces, a half a cup 100% juice, or a fourth a cup dried fruit. First, we have our low GI fruits, which is all of our berries and then everything else you see here on this list. And then we've got our moderate glycemic index fruits. And on this list, we've got our apricots, bananas, kiwi, mango. And actually, I included watermelon here, even though technically watermelons have a high GI of 72, but their GL is only 5.7 for 1 cup, which is actually really low. So I just went ahead and included that here on the moderate GI list. All right, next we have our 2 to 3 servings of high quality protein. Now, I've done a ton of research on the proper amount of protein for weight loss, and I've heard everything from too much protein causes kidney disease to women should double their protein intake to lose weight as they age. So the truth is actually somewhere in the middle. You know how I don't like extremes, right? So the same is true here. Now, while it's true that we do need more protein as we age due to anabolic resistance, which lowers the body's ability to break down protein, we definitely don't need to double our intake. If you're getting your 2 to 3 servings from the high quality proteins, like the ones you see here, you're likely getting enough protein. And if you're like me and you like to do any type of strength or resistance training, which is wonderful for fat loss, I might add, just make sure to consume some protein after working out. I do just a quick protein shake and that's perfect. Okay, so within our protein, 3 to 6 servings of fish are recommended per week and then no more than 2 servings of red meat per month. I have to say that was a huge adjustment for us and our family. My husband is a meat and potatoes kind of guy, so he was used to eating red meat at least once or twice per week. Luckily, I've been able to replace a lot of that with ground turkey, and with the right recipe, it's really hard to tell. When you do buy beef, try to find local grass-fed if at all possible, since most cattle these days are fed corn, molasses, protein supplements to make them fatter, not to mention being pumped with antibiotics and growth hormones, and they're also eating food that's full of glyphosate, so we want to stay away from that. The same is true for poultry, so try to find cage-free organic chicken, turkey, and eggs. And if you eat fish, try to purchase wild-caught rather than farm-raised or Atlantic. Or if you don't eat fish very much due to mercury concerns or preference, make sure you're getting your omega-3s from either fish oil or flaxseed oil. If you like tuna, you can find mercury-free tuna at a lot of different health food stores, some grocery stores. I know Sprouts has it. I don't live near Sprouts, but there is a brand called Skipjack that they have at Costco. That's another good one. So buying organic meats, just like organic everything, is way more expensive, right? But completely worth it if you can. And I think the point with that is just to know the guidelines, do your best to follow them, and allow for some flexibility due to your family's needs and preferences. And if you can't do it, don't let it stress you out. Just say a prayer or blessing over your food and then enjoy it. Okay, at last we come to the top of the pyramid where we find our 1 to 2 optional servings of dairy. Now, 1 serving is 1 ounce of cheese, which would be 1 slice or a cheese stick, or 1 cup of milk, yogurt, or cottage cheese. Speaking of cheese, this has always been my food weakness. Before I learned to become a mindful eater, I did a whole lot of emotional eating, and cheese was always my go-to of choice. I would reach for cheese in times of stress, anger, boredom, anything. Needless to say, I ate way more than 1 to 2 servings daily. And when I finally realized that my bad habit was holding me back from reaching my weight loss goals, I was able to drastically cut back on my cheese intake. But rather than cutting it out completely, I opted to aim for 1 serving per day. That way I'm not overeating it, but I'm also not depriving myself of something I enjoy. If you're someone like me who loves cheese or other dairy products and you don't have any type of lactose allergy, just try to limit your dairy intake to 1 to 2 servings per day. Also, since dairy products are a main dietary source of calcium, if you prefer not to eat them, it's probably a good idea to take a calcium supplement. Okay, so that is our fat-burning food pyramid, exactly what our bodies need in order to lose weight, fight disease, and thrive. Don't forget to print out your pyramid if that visual would be helpful for you. And definitely print out your cheat sheet that I gave you that gives you a list of items in each food category, tells you how many servings of each you need daily, and tells you how much a serving size is. Now, since I'm a teacher, I would recommend that you put them in a sheet protector and then hang them on your fridge for easy reference, which you definitely don't need to do, but that's what I did, and it really works great for me. Also, don't forget to print out the glycemic index and load PDF and the tips and tricks for increasing your fruits and veggies. I hope you enjoyed this video and all the resources. Happy thriving, and I'll see you soon. Bye.